Li Yao's face was ferocious as he breathed heavily. His eyes flashed. "LuoFeng, LuoFeng, LuoFeng. Kill, he must die." Vanina's Chinese wasn't perfect, but the killing intent in her voice was easy to hear. Vanina's eyes were like poisonous needles and her voice was sharp. Isn't he going to the continent of Australia for a life and death adventure? This is the perfect opportunity to kill him. Vulture Scorpion, one can tell from this couple's nicknames. Their nature is cruel and vicious. They usually bully others, but now they're the ones being bullied and killed their only son. How could Vulture Scorpion not go crazy? Not only kill him but also his entire family. Li Yao clenched his teeth. He killed my only son, so I'll kill his entire family. Then I'll turn that LuoFeng's bones to dust. Scorpion Vanina slightly nodded and then frowned as she looked at Li Yao. Yao, the dojo of limits forbids revenge on the families of their fighters. Once they find out, the consequences will be dire. Back then, Bloodblade was chased all over the world and had nowhere to hide. You think I'm an idiot like Bloodblade? Li Yao sneered. The best way to deal with normal people is through the power of the world. With the HR Alliance's gigantic network, connections and power in the world, they can definitely wipe out LuoFeng's entire family without making any mistakes. Fighters are powerful. However, against normal people, the HR Alliance is the best way to deal with them. If something really happens, then you'll have to deal with it, frowned Vanina. Behind her was the Polinas family. As one of the 9 core families of the HR Alliance, they definitely wouldn't go against the dojo of limits. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Even if something happens, they won't be able to find me. If they find me, I'll deal with it myself. Li Yao's expression was cold as he looked towards Vanina. Vanina, I'm preparing to personally go to the continent of Australia. I'm also preparing to bring some elite members with me. We'll directly take a plane from China and disembark in the continent of Australia. Can you arrange that? Vanina was the CEO of the China region of the HR Alliance. She had a lot of power. That's not a big problem. I can let you guys get off the plane halfway across the Australian continent as a training martial artist team. Vanina nodded. I'm planning to bring some special equipment with me, Li Yao said again. Instruments? You're thinking of? Vanina shook her head and said, impossible. The military power of the Chinese government is too strong. At most, I can arrange for you to take a free flight. It's absolutely impossible for you to bring those special equipment. First of all, it's impossible for you to pass the security check. Li Yao slightly frowned. He also knew that it was very difficult. Yao, it's impossible to get it from Huaxia. Vanina said solemnly, the equipment you want to bring is absolutely forbidden. Our HR Alliance only has some influence on normal people and the economy in China. How about this, Yao, you take a plane to Europe first. Vanina said, the European Union is the headquarters of our HR Alliance. From there, I can arrange for a plane to send you and a few elite fighters to the continent of Australia. I can also let you bring special equipment. This is because over in the European Union, over 80% of the passenger planes, as well as the airport inspection system, are all handled by our HR Alliance. Okay, that's the only way. Li Yao slightly nodded. China and the European Union were different. For example, the European Union and America were both capitalist countries. The ancient families and financial groups had a lot of influence there. Even the political parties were supported by these families. Even weapons, passenger planes, and many other aspects were all manufactured and operated by capital. China was different. Passenger planes, manufacturing weapons, and many other aspects were all owned by the country. Capital was prohibited. So, even with Vanina's status, it was impossible for her to sneak some special equipment through Huaxia and take a passenger plane. That's fine. Let's go to Europe. I can also find more people. Li Yao slightly nodded. Also, Vanina, try and find some mercenaries for me. See if any of them are willing to help. My own people don't have any war god level experts. Let's see if we can find some war god level mercenaries. I'll try. Vanina nodded. In reality, there were quite a few mercenaries. The top mercenaries, even existences surpassing the war god level, were even invited to be stationed in some of the weaker headquarter cities. At this time, Li Yao and Vanina didn't know that the head of the dojo of limits, the world's #1 fighter, Feng, already promised LuoFeng. No one will harm a single hair on LuoFeng's family. Li Yao didn't know. So before heading to the European Union, he was thinking of ways to arrange some people. Hongning headquarter city, 183 students of the elite training camp and around 10 war god teachers sat on 6 buses as they left the training camp and headed towards the airport. 9 a.m. that day, around 200 people boarded the passenger plane. The passenger plane left Hongning headquarter city and directly headed towards the continent of Australia. The entire passenger plane was completely booked by the training camp. The upper, middle, and lower levels could accommodate 200 people, so there was plenty of space. Movies were playing in every level of the cabins so that the students wouldn't be too bored on the journey. LuoFeng, Zhao Rua, and Shi Jiang were in the middle cabin. Not playing a movie? Zhao Rua looked at the screen in front of her with shock. In the center of the cabin, there were 3 large screens that were facing different directions, all playing the same video. Everyone's already finished lunch, so let's start preparing. A middle-aged Chinese man stood beside the screen and pointed at the video. This is the continent of Australia right now. It can be said to be the area with the highest density of monsters in the world right now. Because the continent of Australia is isolated from the other continents, the monsters here are a bit different from the monsters on other continents. For example, mouse-type monsters, badger-type monsters. And many of them are different from the ones in Asia and Europe. Before the Grand Nirvana period, the continent of Australia was famous for its large numbers of animals. So after the Grand Nirvana period, the number of monsters here also increased. Because of the hybridization, many horrifying monsters were born. I'm sure you guys have already read a lot of information before coming here. Having a large variety is just one aspect. Secondly, because of the large numbers, Emperor-level monsters were born. If you guys meet an Emperor-level monster, you'll die for sure. So remember, don't get too close to a place with a high density of monsters. Especially in this place when there are large amounts of Horde leader-level monsters, you have to run far away. All the students listen carefully. Even though they're all geniuses, the death rate isn't high. But there will still be people who die. And this is under the condition that everyone is being careful. If anyone dares to be arrogant in one of the 3 danger zones of Australia, they'll definitely die. Of course, the Emperor-level monsters won't care about you unless you mess with them. So, the biggest threat to you is still the Horde of monsters and Horde leader-level monsters. Places like Asia and Europe have large populations. So the number of monsters is relatively low. And in the continent of Australia, there are too many monsters, so the Horde of monsters is huge. So you guys have to pay attention to the Horde of monsters and Horde leader-level monsters here. The middle-aged Chinese man pointed at the screen. These are the Horde of monsters commonly seen in the continent of Australia, Horde leader-level monsters. Look carefully. The video continued to play. Many students watched carefully. Senior Shijiang, Junior LuoFeng, how about we go to the continent of Australia and form a team? Said Zhao Rua quietly. Shijiang slightly frowned. Shijiang's strength was much stronger than Zhao Rua's. For Shijiang, the number of monsters in the Australian continent was probably more than 10 times that of Asia. There were even more Lord-tier monsters. This was a chance for him to train himself. Bringing Zhao Rua along would obviously affect her to a certain extent. This time I'll be alone, said LuoFeng. Boring. Zhao Rua rubbed her nose. Zhao Rua, when the time comes, there will definitely be people who want to form a team, Shijiang comforted her with a smile. Suddenly, the entire cabin shook violently, and the drinks that some students were drinking flew out. Some students who did not fasten their seatbelts were even thrown out of their seats. What's going on? Zhao Rua exclaimed. All the students in the cabin were shocked. Fellow students. A clear voice came from the broadcast. Our plane has already entered the Australian mainland, but we are still about 40 minutes away from our destination. The Australian continent is famous for its large number of monsters, and the number of flying monsters here is equally astonishing. Moreover, there are very few passenger planes that pass through here, so, just now there was a group of flying monsters that attacked our passenger plane. Right now, the passenger plane has already left the group of flying monsters behind. Everyone don't worry. The cabin immediately burst into an uproar. So, he was attacked by a group of flying monsters. The ones attacking the passenger planes are all flying monsters with low intelligence. Shijiang said to LuoFeng and Zhao Rua on the side, if it's an extremely powerful monster, it wouldn't even dare to approach the passenger plane. Getting close is suicide. LuoFeng laughed. Airliners were equipped with laser cannons. At close range, even a king-class monster wouldn't be able to dodge the laser cannon's terrifying speed and would be killed instantly. 40 minutes later, the plane landed and the cabin door opened. The students and teachers of the God of War in the upper, middle and lower floors all quickly walked out of the plane. The moment he came out, LuoFeng felt his vision widen. This was a vast wasteland covered in green. A large amount of vegetation was very lush, and the shadows of some monsters could be seen in the distance. There are no city buildings. It's the entire wilderness. It's going to be troublesome to find a place to rest at night. Many students were discussing. A black war god teacher spoke clearly in Chinese. All students, please use your tactical communications watch to memorize the exact coordinates of your current location. Right now it is August 1st 2057, 3:15 p.m. Your mission is to live in the continent of Australia for 28 days. Our passenger plane will arrive at this location on the 29th at 12 p.m. to pick up all the students back to Hong Ning headquarters city. Now your life and death adventure officially begins. All of the war god teachers swiftly returned to the plane. After that, the plane slowly rose into the sky and turned into a blue light as it disappeared into the horizon. On the wasteland there were only 183 students left. The students gathered in groups of 3 to 5 and pulled a few fighters that were strong enough to form a squad. This was especially true for the weaker students who had just joined the training camp. It was an impossible task for them to live alone in the Australian continent for 28 days. LuoFeng, a voice rang. LuoFeng turned his head and saw that it was Senior Shijiang. Shijiang sighed. This is the center of the continent of Australia. And before the Grand Nirvana period, the most populated areas were the east coast and southeast region of the continent of Australia. And in our region, it's hard to find a city. If we can find a small town, we'll be lucky. LuoFeng nodded. One of the uses of a ruined city for a fighter is to rest. In a large number of residential buildings, it's easy to find a hidden room to rest in. However, in the continent of Australia, this endless wasteland is a bit of a headache. If you're in the wilderness, it'll be troublesome for a person to rest. Once you fall asleep, you might get eaten by a monster in your sleep. Shijiang looked at LuoFeng. How about you and I form a squad? If we help each other, we'll have a better chance of surviving here. You and I? LuoFeng slightly frowned. If Vulture Li Yao's incident didn't happen, teaming up with Senior Shi Jiang wouldn't be too bad. However, this time he didn't come here just to fight against monsters. The bigger danger comes from Vulture Li Yao. Senior, I have some complicated things to do in the continent of Australia, so I can only be by myself, said LuoFeng seriously. Complicated things? Shi Jiang was a bit surprised. Please forgive me for not telling you right now. I'm sure you'll find out soon, said LuoFeng. Seeing this, Shi Jiang smiled and nodded. He didn't mind. Actually, Shi Jiang wouldn't invite LuoFeng to form a squad just because he's in the 40s. The main reason why Shi Jiang wanted to team up with LuoFeng was because the head, Hong, praised LuoFeng's spiritual force. Even if they can't team up with Shi Jiang's status and strength, there are plenty of students who want to form a squad with him. Soon. 183 students. Some formed a squad of 2, some formed a squad of 3, and some formed a squad of 6. There were also 5 of them alone. Contact me if you need anything. See you in 28 days. LuoFeng said goodbye to his familiar friends and carried his backpack, shield, ghost blade, and 10 throwing knives in his pockets. Just like that, he walked across the endless wasteland. Hey Wei Tong, is that LuoFeng by himself? Candace stood beside a Chinese youth. Yes, we invited him just now, but he refused. The Chinese youth named Wei Tong shook his head and smiled. He dares to be alone in the 3 great danger zones. They were all full of confidence. This time, among the 5 people who came alone, the other 4 were all ranked in the top 20. As for this LuoFeng, his true identity is a spirit reader, so he's very powerful. Candace, however, squinted his eyes and looked in the direction LuoFeng left in. He then lowered his head and looked at the map on his tactical communications watch, trying to identify it. Candace, let's go. Candace. The 3 young white men and women shouted. He's here. Candace memorized LuoFeng's approximate direction, turned around and met up with his squad heading in the direction they set. The continent of Australia's climate is the exact opposite of China's. Right now, it's the beginning of August, the hottest time of the year in China. However, in the continent of Australia, it's the end of winter, so the temperature is around 4 to 5 degrees Celsius. However, for LuoFeng, whose fitness level has almost reached the beginner war god level, he can still go topless even if it's a few dozen degrees below zero. As the wind blew, the grass drooped, revealing quite a few monsters that ate grass with their heads lowered. Among the monsters there are carnivores and herbivores. However, they all have one thing in common. Almost all of the monsters are extremely aggressive. Whoosh. A fleeting shadow flashed past these monsters, not disturbing them at all. This was the solo LuoFeng. According to the map, there's a mountain range around 300 miles away. I'll build a temporary base there, thought LuoFeng to himself. LuoFeng thought to himself, if my guess isn't wrong, Candace from the training camp is one of Vulture Scorpion's eyes. As long as one isn't an idiot, they can guess that Vanina is Candace's aunt. Candace will probably tell Vulture Scorpion where I'm heading. LuoFeng shook his head and laughed. When he separated from the other students, he had taken a detour on purpose. If Vulture Li Yao had followed Candace's directions, it would have been a waste of time. Let's build a stronghold first and have a place to stay. Then we'll start hunting Lord-class monsters. LuoFeng thought to himself, hunting monsters in August doesn't count for points anyway, so the dojo won't search. This time, I'll take this opportunity to earn more money. To the other war god warriors, the Australian continent was also an extremely terrifying and dangerous place. But to LuoFeng, an existence that's close to invincible amongst advanced-level war gods. The Australian continent, a world filled with countless monsters, was his ATM. As long as he doesn't provoke an emperor-level monster with LuoFeng's strength, there's practically no danger. It wasn't that strange. For example, it was very difficult for a war god to die in a city in the wilderness of Huaxia country. The entire country would hold a mourning ceremony for one of them. However, while the 3 danger zones are dangerous for normal war gods, they are relatively safe for advanced-level war gods. And to LuoFeng there was almost no danger. It's quite difficult to hunt down powerful lords. I will first use the strength of a martial artist to seduce the lord, and then use my telekinesis to control the flying daggers to finish off the lord. Kill more lords to earn more money. Spirit readers have always been wealthy among fighters. And this time. Besides dealing with Li Yao, LuoFeng's other targets are the leaders. As for commander-level monsters, LuoFeng can't even be bothered to kill them. LuoFeng doesn't even care about the space in his bag for commander-level monster materials. There's no helping it. He only has one bag. LuoFeng's drifting figure was like the wind as he moved forward in the wasteland with a speed of around 300 meters per second. The monsters on the way were nothing to him. Europe, Paris base city. Paris headquarter city was known as the most prosperous headquarter city out of the 6 headquarter cities in Europe. It was located in the heart of France, and because most of the island countries were destroyed during the Grand Nirvana period, most of the rich people of England had already fled from England, and the normal English people who could escape also entered Paris headquarter city. In a luxurious limousine in the main city area of Paris base city. Got it? Vanina hung up the phone and looked towards Li Yao helplessly as she shook her head. Yao, after all the mercenaries found out about LuoFeng's identity, they all rejected our requests. That's not weird. Li Yao squinted his eyes as he sat on the comfortable sofa in the car. None of those mercenaries dared to mess with the Dojo of Limits. That LuoFeng is a member of the Dojo of Limits after all. Not bad. I'm already very satisfied. After all, there are still 3 war gods who accepted our employment in their personal capacity. Yes. Vanina nodded. Even though all of the mercenaries failed, some of the war gods accepted their requests as private individuals. After all, it's not easy for war gods to earn money. War gods are divided into advanced level war gods, intermediate level war gods, and beginner level war gods. 1 intermediate level war god and 2 beginner level war gods accepted their request this time. Beginner level war gods 1.5 billion euros. Intermediate level war gods 3 billion euros. This is equivalent to a year's worth of income for war gods to attack a 19-year-old kid. And they believed that the dojo of limits wouldn't go so far as to cause trouble for the hired war gods. Chi. The car stopped and the door opened. Vanina and Liao both got off the car. Voila. A bus and a truck also stopped behind them. The doors opened and around 50 people swiftly walked out of the bus. 8 or 9 people also came out of the truck. All of them were carrying boxes. Liao and Vanina both walked over. Be careful, handle it with care, yelled Liao in a low voice. Yes. The elites carrying the boxes were all extremely careful. They clearly knew what was inside each box. This was humanity's ultimate weapon against monsters. A laser cannon. A laser cannon is a large optical weapon. Its structure is extremely complicated, there are many parts, and it's huge. That's why normal passenger planes and trains can carry laser cannons. Or even headquarter cities have laser cannons as part of their defense system. Because when a laser cannon is assembled, especially one with a super high frequency, it's huge. Once it's assembled, there's no way to move it. That's why they're all parts right now. They'll only be assembled when they arrive at their destination. I thought of a way to get this set. Even though it's not the highest level, Vanina lowered her voice. However, at its highest frequency, it should be able to heavily injure an emperor-level monster. It has a 100% chance of killing a horde leader-level monster. If you use it against LuoFeng, it'll definitely be fine. However, the biggest problem is energy. The energy this time is enough to fire at its highest frequency 3 times. The second stage can fire at its highest frequency 9 times. Save some energy. Liao slightly nodded. In order to get his hands on this thing, he spent a lot of effort. Thankfully, it was in Europe, the headquarters of the HR Alliance. Even though the Paulinus family is a large arms dealer, it still took quite a bit of effort to get it. Li. A passionate voice carried from the side. 3 men walked over, 2 white men and 1 yellow-skinned man. These 3 were the 3 war gods invited by Liao this time. Liao smiled as he greeted them. Suddenly his phone rang. Hello, Liao picked up the phone. Mr. Li, the higher-ups have ordered us to stop all of our operations. I'm sorry? The voice on the other side of the phone was low and apologetic. Liao's face immediately changed and became ferocious. Stop? Who gave the order? Oh. A direct order from headquarters, said the voice on the other side of the phone. Liao's face was terrible. Yao, what's wrong? Asked Vanina on the side. Liao's face was green as he said in a low voice. The people I arranged in China have stopped their operations. Stopped. Vanina was also shocked. Suddenly Vanina's phone also vibrated. Vanina immediately walked to the side and picked it up. Vanina, a slightly loud voice rang. Vanina's face changed and she immediately became extremely respectful. Chairman. The entire HR Alliance's management is the Alliance's parliament, which is also the legendary underground parliament. And the chairman is the person with the highest authority in the parliament. As the head of the HR Alliance, you can imagine how high his position is. What kind of status does the head of the HR Alliance, which controls half of the world's economy, have? There are several existences surpassing the war god level that are related to her and are even willing to be invited by her to work for the Alliance. Vanina, listen carefully, the loud voice became strict. You will definitely not be allowed to touch LuoFeng's family. Once that happens, your Paulinus family will be punished by the entire Alliance. Vanina's face changed dramatically. The phone was already hung up. What's wrong? Liao walked over and looked at Vanina with confusion. The chairman personally called. Vanina's face was pale. She wasn't an idiot. For the head of the entire HR Alliance, the boss, to personally call and warn a core family to be punished by the entire Alliance. The HR Alliance is definitely under unprecedented pressure. Pressure from one person. A call from the speaker? Liao's expression changed too. Although he was one of the top figures in the War God Circle, compared to the head of the HR Alliance he wasn't even on the same level. The chairman was the emperor of the underground world. Come here. Vanina dragged Liao far away and lowered her voice. The chairman just called to warn us not to touch LuoFeng's family no matter what. If that happens, the Paulinus family will be sanctioned by the entire Alliance. What? Liao frowned. That's impossible. Your Paulinus family is also one of the core families. Although he is the speaker, if he wants the entire Alliance to punish a core family, he will have to go through a collective vote in the underground parliament. One word from him doesn't have that much power. Vanina said in a low voice. It means that the chairman believes that this decision will be passed once the meeting is convened. Liao was surprised. He understood. In this world, probably only Hong and Thunder God, these 2 absolute experts, could shake the entire HR Alliance with a single sentence. And the one who stood up for LuoFeng was probably Hong. Bastard. What a lucky bastard. Liao cursed. He wanted nothing more than to cut LuoFeng into 1,000 pieces. He originally wanted to kill LuoFeng's entire family to vent his anger, but now it was clear. After Hong spoke, the HR Alliance would probably send people to protect LuoFeng's family even without Hong sending people. Liao couldn't send anyone at all. Humph, since Dojo Master Hong intervened, let's spare his family. Liao coldly snorted, Hong knows about this, but he didn't stop me from dealing with LuoFeng. I'm afraid he wants to use me to train LuoFeng. Liao was also in a high position, he could easily guess Hong's thoughts. Training? If the training fails, LuoFeng will die. Liao's eyes were cold. Vanina, you stay in the Paris Bay City. We'll keep in touch. Yes. Vanina nodded. On the passenger plane. The plane departed at 11:45 in the afternoon, leaving Paris Bay City for the Australian mainland. There were only about 60 passengers on the plane. The 60 people were the people that Liao had brought to the Australian continent this time. Some of them were responsible for installing and using the laser cannons. What, Mr. Li, is that a laser cannon? The yellow-skinned man next to him was shocked. Oh God. The other two white men were also stunned. Laser cannons are forbidden weapons. One of the bearded white men said, the Earth Union forbids the smuggling of laser cannons and nuclear bombs. Even if you ban it, aren't there still people transporting it? Laser cannons and nuclear bombs are shipped from America and Europe to the weaker base cities every year. The Earth Union turns a blind eye to it. Moreover, the Earth Union was formed by the 5 great countries. The power is in the hands of the 5 great countries. The Earth Union is just a puppet. The other 3 war gods couldn't help but laugh. Laser cannons, and nuclear bombs were the 2 ultimate weapons of human society. Nuclear bombs had a large attack range and were powerful, but their weakness was that they produced radiation, which could easily cause monsters to mutate. Laser cannons, a single attack known as Death Ray, was humanity's favorite weapon. Mr. Li, you have some skills. I admire you. The yellow-skinned man laughed. I want to buy this laser cannon. Does Mr. Li have any channels to get one for me? That won't do. Liao shook his head. After I finish using this laser cannon, I have to put it back immediately. If I lose it for too long, it will be easy to find out. At that time, it will be troublesome. What? Kitahara Takeshi, you Japanese should have some channels to get laser cannons, right? Japan was an economic power before the Grand Nirvana period. However, they were an island country. Because they hunted and killed too many sharks and other large fish, during the Grand Nirvana period, the monsters mutated. After sharks and other large fish mutated, they became extremely powerful. There were quite a few Lord-grade sea monsters and there were even King-grade monsters. Horde leader and King-level monsters already had intelligence comparable to humans. Therefore they wanted revenge. Gather the army and besiege Japan. Japan's defense had always been troublesome. They had to face the endless amount of monsters in the sea that tore through the land along the rivers and entered the land. The flying monsters in the sky worked together to launch pincer attacks, and even the arrival of the king-level monsters. Japan could only struggle with all its might. Unable to resist, all of its citizens could only think of ways to escape. Because at the beginning of the Grand Nirvana, the degree of mutation of the monsters wasn't high, many people with power and influence escaped. Although the original country only had a few million people left, but after a few decades of recuperation, the Japanese were now considered a small ethnic group in the world. The channel fees are too expensive. Bei Yuan Gang said solemnly, Mr. Li, if you can help me get a laser cannon, I'm willing to pay 20 times the cost. 20 times. Liao raised his eyebrow. Laser cannons were expensive to manufacture, and with their unique characteristics, they could not be bought with money. I'm envious, but I don't have the ability. The passenger plane entered the Australian mainland. Liao, on the other hand, left the cabin alone and went to the bathroom. Hello, Vanina. Liao contacted Vanina. Where is LuoFeng right now? The HR Alliance can confirm a fighter's location through their tactical communications watches. I can't confirm, an anxious voice carried from the tactical communications watch. I'm trying to think of another way. Why can't you confirm? Liao's face changed. Back then, they were searching for the large amounts of information on the fighters around Li Wei's corpse. His tactical communications watch shows the location of the elite training camp. Vanina's voice was also anxious. Elite training camp? No, he's in the Australian mainland. Liao was confused. Of course not, this means. LuoFeng changed his tactical communications watch. The voice from the tactical communications watch was very quiet. His previous tactical communications watch was placed in the training camp. As for the tactical communications watch he's using now, the HR Alliance has no record of it. This was the truth. Before August 1st, LuoFeng's battle ability amplifier reached 12. He received a huge reward which included a battle uniform, a full set of weapons, binoculars, a tactical communications watch, etc. LuoFeng switched to a new tactical communications watch, which was specially made by the Dojo of Limits. Only high-level members can wear it. It wasn't made by the HR Alliance, so naturally there are no loopholes. The HR Alliance also has no record of it. LuoFeng's tactical communications watch was probably specially made by the Dojo of Limits, so we have no way of checking, said Vanina. Then what do we do? Liao panicked. Without knowing LuoFeng's location, finding a person in the vast Australian mainland is like finding a needle in a haystack. Right now there's only one way. Call LuoFeng's tactical communications watch. Once we get through we'll be able to find his location, said Vanina. This function was very common. Normal cell phones have this function. As long as you call someone even if they don't pick up, you can still find their location through the connection. Then we'll call him, said Li Yao. But, I haven't found his new tactical communications watch's number yet, said Vanina helplessly. If you don't know his number, how do you make a call? Actually, LuoFeng just got his new tactical communications watch on August 1st. The only people who know his number are the students in the Chinese faction who have a good relationship with LuoFeng. Check, we have to find his number. Li Yao was panicking. He just got his new tactical communications watch, so very few people know his number. Some of his friends in the training camp probably know his number. And the elite training camp's own management department will also have his contact information, said Vanina helplessly. However, I can't infiltrate the internal departments of the dojo of limits. Hurry, check, the plane is about to land. We can't just carry so many boxes and fight against the monsters, right? If we encounter a monster horde, the laser cannon's intricate components might be damaged by just a little bit, and the entire machine might break. Li Yao was panicking. Hurry and confirm LuoFeng's location. Okay, I'll let Candice try again. After hanging up, Li Yao returned to the cabin. The other people in the cabin were very relaxed. Klein. Li Yao asked a middle-aged white man, will there be any problems if we move these boxes a few hundred kilometers and then reassemble them? This Klein respectfully said, Mr. Li, even though every component in these boxes is well protected and normal impacts won't cause any problems, but this is an intricate optical weapon. But this is a sophisticated optical weapon. If one of its components is damaged, the entire laser cannon might not work. So we can't take the risk. Li Yao couldn't help but to grit his teeth. He was panicking. What's the range of this laser cannon? Asked Li Yao. Talking about range is very unscientific, said Klein seriously. Even though the laser cannon is the ultimate weapon, it also has its weaknesses. But it also had its weaknesses. First of all, it traveled in a straight line. However, the entire Earth is a sphere, so the Earth's surface isn't a flat surface, but a curved surface. If the target is a bit further away, we won't be able to see the target from the ground, so naturally the laser cannon won't be able to hit it. So the laser cannon must be set up at a high place, that way the range will be longer. Of course, the target is a spirit reader. If he flies in the sky, we can find him from a distance and there won't be any obstacles in a straight line. Then we can instantly kill him, smiled Klein. There's no need to doubt the laser cannon's power. The problem now is to make him fly in the sky. If he's on the ground, as long as he's a bit further away, we won't be able to attack, said Klein. One more thing. Pay attention to the weather. If there's heavy fog or heavy rain, we won't be able to attack. The laser cannon is formed by light. The particles in the heavy rain and fog will cause the light to refract and so on, greatly weakening the laser cannon's power. So, the laser cannon must be set up at a high point close to the target. That way it'll be easier to find a chance to kill the target, said Klein. Li Yao nodded. He also knew. But without knowing LuoFeng's position, how could he land the plane? Mr. Li, the captain of the passenger plane, personally came to the cabin. Li Yao looked towards him. The captain said, Mr. Li, tonight our plane still needs to fly from Paris headquarters city to Washington headquarters city. So we can only stay here for another half an hour. If Mr. Li doesn't tell us where to land in half an hour, then we can only... Li Yao frowned. I understand. Every passenger plane is extremely expensive and is an important strategic weapon for the country. Li Yao can't waste too much time. While Li Yao was extremely troubled, LuoFeng was extremely satisfied. Actually, Li Yao's trip to Paris headquarters city on August 1st took quite a bit of time with the addition of the 3 war gods and the laser cannon. When Li Yao left, it was already August 5th. The center of the continent of Australia. In a mountain range. The largest monster horde in this mountain range is the ape horde. In a rather dark cave, LuoFeng was organizing the monster materials in his bag and putting them at the bottom of his bag. Today I'll kill the leader of this ape horde. No wonder it's one of the 3 danger zones. There are so many monsters and so many horde leader level monsters. It's already the 4th day. However, he only managed to kill 1 horde leader level monster, and it's a low level horde leader. No wonder they say that horde leader level monsters are hard to defeat and even harder to kill. LuoFeng was helpless. He's a spirit reader, so his methods are much more unpredictable than a regular fighter's. However, he already found 11 horde leader level monsters in the past 3 days. However, every horde leader level monster was extremely cunning. Once they see that something is wrong, they will run. LuoFeng's throwing knife has a limited range. It's most powerful within 50 meters, and it uses up the least amount of spiritual force. At 100 meters he can barely maintain his full power. However, because of the distance, it uses up more spiritual force. As for the further the distance, its power drops. And horde leader level monsters can move 100 meters away with a single movement. I only managed to kill 1 out of 11 horde leader level monsters. And that's because I'm a spirit reader. No wonder war gods say that it's hard to earn money. They'd rather kill high-grade beast generals than fight against horde lords. LuoFeng picked up his water bag and drank a few mouthfuls. After that, he immediately put everything away, put on his bag, shield, and ghost blade in hand as he carefully set out. LuoFeng fiercely jumped along the cliff of a mountain, directly jumping over a distance of 70 to 80 meters, and landed on another mountain. After that, he continued sprinting forward. Sometimes he jumped, sometimes he ran, and sometimes he made unimaginably graceful movements, as though he was walking on flat ground in this mountain range. LuoFeng suddenly stopped, half squatting on one of the cliffs. We're here. LuoFeng could clearly hear the noise. He lowered his head and looked down. The canyon below was filled with all sorts of ape-type monsters. At first glance there were definitely tens of thousands of them. According to LuoFeng's experience hunting monsters these past few days, the most powerful monster in this mountain range is this group of apes. There were 3 horde leader monsters in this ape tribe, and their leader was a high horde leader. They could be said to be the #1 tribe in this mountain range. LuoFeng also named this unknown mountain range as Ape Mountain Range. Where's the leader of this ape tribe today? That high horde leader Golden Ape, not here? LuoFeng looked carefully. Among the large amount of apes in the canyon, there were 2 apes that stood out the most. They were both gigantic apes with purple fur, and they were the #1 ape-type monsters, the Herculean demonic ape. Even though the Herculean demonic ape is the #1 ape-type monster, these 2 Herculean demonic apes are only low-level horde leader-level monsters. Howl, an ear-piercing howl seemed like it was going to tear the sky apart. Suddenly the entire ape tribe was in an uproar. Below them was a giant ape that was 20 meters tall and covered in a layer of golden scales. It was dragging a silver python that was more than 30 meters long with one hand. Wherever it went, all of the ape-type monsters moved aside. Even the 2 Herculean demonic apes ran over and cheered as if they were flattering it. Howl, the gigantic ape walked to the smooth platform in the innermost area and sat down on its butt. It ferociously ripped open the python that had its head completely shattered. While the python was forcefully ripped in half and fresh blood sprayed everywhere. Instantly, tens of thousands of ape-type monsters cried out in excitement. The gigantic ape casually threw one of the python corpses to the side. The 2 Herculean demonic apes immediately started eating excitedly. On the other hand, the giant ape sat there and happily ate. It didn't care about the python's corpse's blood flowing on its scales. It's actually that silver electric python. I didn't manage to kill it, and it was actually killed by this golden ape. LuoFeng, who was peeking down from the cliff, watched with shock. That low-level horde leader-level silver electric python was one of the 11 horde leader-level monsters that LuoFeng fought before. However, the silver electric python was too sly, and with the large amounts of pythons under its command, LuoFeng didn't succeed. Who would have thought that it would be killed by this high-level horde leader-level golden ape? I have to make it think that I'm a normal fighter in order to catch it off guard, thought LuoFeng to himself. The golden ape is the #2 ape-type monster. Actually, there are 2 main types of ape-type monsters. One is the hairy ape type, and the other is the scaled ape type. Of the hairy ape type, the Herculean demonic ape is the leader. And of the scaled ape type, the Herculean demonic ape is the leader. At the same level, the Herculean demonic ape is a bit stronger than the golden ape. However, the high-level horde leader golden ape has boundless strength, extreme speed and shocking defense. It's not easy to mess with. My killer move is to use my spiritual force to control the throwing knife and kill it. But once I hurt it, I can't kill it. It senses that its life is in danger and will definitely escape. Once it escapes, I definitely won't be able to catch it. LuoFeng was clear that he only had one chance. If he doesn't kill the golden ape the first time, the golden ape won't give him a second chance. In the canyon, the cries of countless ape-type monsters shook the sky. The 3 great ape horde leaders were eating the flesh of the lightning python. Suddenly, a black silhouette that looked like a black panther shot down from the sky and directly stomped on the body of one of the ape-type monsters. With a ping sound, the ape-type monster's body directly exploded and blood and flesh flew everywhere. And using the force of this stomp, LuoFeng dashed towards the center of the ape horde like lightning. There were 3 horde leaders. Howl, howl. The 2 Herculean demonic apes roared angrily. Immediately, a large amount of commander-level apes and even more soldier-level apes crazily surrounded LuoFeng. Get out of the way. LuoFeng's eyes were like lightning and his body was like the wind as he swiftly advanced. The ghost blade in his hand instantly turned into a bolt of lightning. Blade after blade flashed past and the bodies of the ape monsters were cut open. Blood flew everywhere and bodies flew everywhere. In the Tower of Trials, LuoFeng was able to hold his own against a large amount of monsters with the same level of strength. And now, against the obstruction of commander-level and soldier-level monsters, it's as easy as smashing dry weeds. Everywhere he went, blood and corpses were everywhere. Fresh blood dyed his battle uniform red. LuoFeng ferociously stepped on the back of an ape and directly leaped towards the center. Howl. On the platform in the center, the sitting golden ape casually grabbed a rock beside it and fiercely threw it towards LuoFeng. Boom. With the size of the golden ape's palm, this rock had a diameter of around 1 meter. Such a large rock was like a cannonball and arrived in front of LuoFeng in the blink of an eye. The huge rock created a powerful pressure that caused the surrounding air to vibrate. Logically speaking, LuoFeng could have used his spiritual force to push the rock from the side and the rock would have smashed to the side. But LuoFeng didn't want to expose his spiritual force. LuoFeng tried his best to lower his body in midair and tilted his shield. The huge rock brushed against the shield and flew away. LuoFeng, on the other hand, landed in the ape horde below. Once he landed in the horde, a bloody storm ensued. LuoFeng instantly killed around 10 ape monsters around him. After that, his body flashed and he arrived on the platform in the center. Boom. 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 3 boulders were smashed by the adamantine ape overlord. And LuoFeng displayed his perfect level technique. Like a streak of green smoke, he slightly swayed on the platform and dodged two of the huge rocks. He used the force to block the third rock. Hoo! The air violently vibrated and even created a shockwave that could be seen with the naked eye. Fist. The instant LuoFeng dodged the third boulder, he saw a gigantic fist covered in golden scales arrive in front of him. That golden ape, who was sitting on the platform a moment ago, threw a lightning-fast punch in front of LuoFeng's face. It was extremely fast. The golden ape's eyes were filled with coldness. Human? It hasn't killed a human in a long time. However, to all powerful monsters, humans are their common enemy. And it also believes that this punch, which it calculated, came at a crucial moment. The human in front of it definitely won't be able to dodge in time and can only take it head-on. However, even an advanced-level War God fighter wouldn't dare to take a high-level Horde leader's punch head-on. If this human in front of it takes it head-on, even if he doesn't turn into meat paste, his internal organs will be shattered. I've been waiting for you for a long time. You came uninvited. LuoFeng laughed loudly against this punch. Oh, his body weirdly swayed. In a situation where there's nothing for a human to use as leverage, he weirdly swayed like a leaf being blown by the wind and directly dodged the golden ape's horrifying punch. The golden ape was shocked. How did this human dodge? Don't tell me. He's the most special of humans? The golden ape didn't even give the golden ape time to think. The instant LuoFeng used his spiritual force to dodge. Whoosh. 6 black throwing knives. 2 SS grade throwing knives and 4 9 series throwing knives. 6 bolts of lightning. Shooting. Target the golden ape's head. Ha. The golden ape's eyes widened. Its right fist that was smashing towards LuoFeng instantly expanded and turned into a gigantic palm as it slammed towards LuoFeng. At the same time, its left palm appeared in front of its face like lightning and its body slightly tilted. Bio. 3 throwing knives shot towards the palm of its left hand and only pierced through the surface. A bit of golden red blood dyed the palm red. 2 throwing knives pierced into the golden ape's face. One of them only pierced halfway in before it got stuck by the facial muscles and couldn't go any further. As for the other flying dagger, it only managed to pierce through his scalp before it was blocked by his hard skull. The last throwing knife grazed the golden ape's neck and created a gigantic wound. Fresh blood sprayed out like water, causing the golden ape to let out an extremely angry roar. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and turn on the notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming great videos.